This is huge. Minerva, look, it's a book. Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia and this is my chapter by chapter reaction video for Lethal White, which I have just gotten. It's a massive book. I'm going to read it and then record my reaction after every single chapter. Warning, this is going to be spoilery as shit, so if you don't want to know what happens, if you haven't read the book yet but are planning to read it, then don't watch this video until you've read it, because I will not be holding back. Whew, what a wedding. Drama or what? I can't believe she's married now. Obviously, it's not gonna last. Matthew's either gonna get murdered or divorced. I don't really care which. I was not expecting the 1 year later setting. Kind of a little bit annoyed about that. I was hoping that we'd get to see the immediate aftermath of the wedding. I'm glad that Robin is now Strike's partner, at least by the sounds of it. Denise sounds like a nightmare. Not much else to it so far, really. It looks like a cold case is being set up. So this disturbed young man who doesn't really sound that dangerous. Looks like he's bringing up something that happened years ago. I love when detective novels do that. Why does J.K. Rowling keep breaking my heart? Robin and Strike could be off on a beautiful romantic holiday together now, and because of some stupid misunderstanding and Matthew being a whiny bastard, they're still married and they're still unhappy, and so we're finally getting started on the case. Strike is just about to check out the address that Billy has sort of given him, well, in parts. Also, how is he able to attract one girlfriend after another when he's clearly such a crappy boyfriend? Plot is happening and I like it. I'm getting this weird sense of nostalgia for the 2012 London Olympics, even though I wasn't particularly paying attention to the news back then because I'm really not that interested in sports, but it provides a really interesting political background for the mystery. So the White Horse pub, that's got to be where Billy says they strangled the kid. He said that the child was strangled up by the horse, and that can only be the White Horse pub. Look at me doing detecting. Matthew? He's such a prick. It's very typical of him to pretend that he's buying a house when he's actually renting. Like, dude, no one cares. Why is she still with him? Other than that, I like that the police officer from the last book, Vanessa, that she's back. I quite liked her then. I think she's going to be a good friend to Robin. And I think it's just adorable that Strike is worried about what she was doing in the clinic. He's thinking that maybe she's pregnant or trying to get pregnant, or maybe she's ill. It's kind of sweet. Now politicians are getting involved. It's getting really interesting. So this chapter ends with the words, "One cannot be held accountable for unintended consequences." Strike has met Chisel, the Minister for Culture. Now, I don't think he's the one who murdered the child, because that would be too obvious, but clearly he knows something about it. But anyway, I am very happy about this political setting. I think this is something that J.K. Rowling is going to pull off very well. Yes, the dream team is back together. I'm so happy that the investigation's finally getting going now, and I can't wait to see Robin undercover in the Houses of Parliament. What an exciting setup. Lorelei seems nice. It's a shame that Strike's messing her about like he messes all of his girlfriends about. Robin's preparing to go undercover in the House of Commons. Matt's being an arsehole as usual. I do wonder though, do coloured contact lenses really make such a difference? I mean, I'm face blind anyway, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you the eye colours of most of the people I know. But surely it doesn't make such a huge difference, right? The glasses are probably the better prop. Robin's been having more kind of flashbacks and attacks of her PTSD. She's now in the House of Commons and has started her undercover work, which so far consists of trying to hide a bugging device in the office of Geraint Wynne. Strike's on his way to Manchester, reminiscing about Robin. We're back with Robin at the House of Commons, and we've just met Della Wynne, whose guide dog is called Gwyn. Gwyn. Because she's Welsh, get it? Can't have a guide dog named, I don't know, Fido, if you're Welsh. Gotta be Gwyn. Strike's interviewed Jimmy Knight's ex-wife, Dawn, who's given him some interesting tidbits. So we learn that Jimmy's dad was living rent-free on the Chisel estate, which makes me think there's something dodgy going on there. Maybe Jimmy's dad was blackmailing him. Robin's holding up well against sleazy Geraint. So Matthew and Robin are going to celebrate their anniversary in Oxford, eh? That's in Oxfordshire. That's where Strike's keen to do some investigations. It's getting intriguing. Chisel's wife clearly knows something. And then there was a threatening phone call on the answer machine. So much going on there. So many red herrings being planted, probably. Minerva. What's your theory, Minerva? Okay. So clearly the body is buried in Chisel's back garden. Otherwise, why would there be someone going digging it? Unless, of course, this is a red herring. But I do think that Chisel's son, Raphael, has something to do with it. Because he's so innocuous and so stupid and young and innocent that he's got to have something to do with it in the end. Strike's been following Jimmy at the protest, and it sounds like Jimmy's keeping his brother locked up, which is a bit mean. So Robin's anniversary weekend was a disaster. So I wonder what Chisel actually did that he wants to cover up. It sounds like it's something that used to be legal but now is illegal, and that he doesn't want anyone to know. And it can't be a simple kind of affair or sex scandal, because that would be a bit too easy. Robin's done more undercover work in the House of Commons, and she seems to be getting some dirt on Geraint Wynne. Also, why does she keep hanging out with Matthew and his horrible, horrible friends? This was the first real emotional chapter that we've had. Jack, who is Cormoran's nephew, is in hospital with a burst appendix, and it's all very sad, and then Robin shows up to help him, and I'm more and more convinced that Raphael's got something to do with it, because he deflected Robin's question about the missing girl. I think he's trying to put the blame on this Jack character, who I think is Jimmy's dad, who died. He was the carpenter or servant or something at the house. But I think Raphael's got something to do with it. He may or may not be in it with Kinvara, Chisel's wife. So some stuff is finally happening. Robin is getting ready for an event with Prince Harry as part of her undercover work, and Strike thinks that Jimmy might be on the way there to mess things up. So it's getting interesting. This is the first time we're actually getting some real kind of detective action going on, which is good. We also know that Amir is up to something. Now, I don't think he's having an affair with Della. Again, that would be too obvious. They've also mentioned the possibility that he might be related to her, which I think could be more likely. Maybe he is an illegitimate son or something like that. I don't know. Interesting things. I'm so annoyed I don't speak Latin, so I also wasn't able to decode that little poem that Chisel had read out for Amir. Everyone's arriving at the charity event now. Robin's also on the way to the party, and this promises to be at least as good a party scene as in the Silkworm. So Strike's just gone and punched Jimmy, and of course the placard, which would tell us all what the deal is with Chisel, yeah, that's been ripped. So we finally know what was on the placard, and it implies that Chisel's responsible for the death of, quote, a bunch of black children. What's going on? Well, the party scene was just as good as it promised to be. I really liked this one. Charlotte showed up, surprisingly, unexpectedly pregnant, amazing, still flirting with him. Talk of Prince Harry's pubes. I wonder if he knows about that. I like to think that he's a J.K. Rowling fan and that he's reading this right now, same time as me, and having a good laugh about it. Chisel's dead? So the obvious conclusion is that it's suicide, that Chisel killed himself, but it can't be that simple. Strike's already drawn attention to a dark red half-circular mark on the back of his hand. So there's got to be something else to it. I still think Raphael's behind this. Strike's staying with his friends Nick and Ilsa, who I like. I like them even more now they've got kittens, even though Strike doesn't seem to like the kittens. I think it's lovely that Strike is hanging out with his sister and her family more. So Strike is about to take Izzy's case of investigating her father's murder, which of course that's how it's going to go. And I feel like this is now my last chance to try and guess what Chisel was suspected of doing, what he was being blackmailed for. And I'm going to say human trafficking. That's my guess. Sounds like Shankar's getting involved. This is more like it. This is like the good old-fashioned investigation stuff, and they're going on a road trip again. I have to say, I really love these road trip scenes. I love them so much. Two things. The text that Matthew accidentally sent Robin, I think was meant for Sarah, and I think that he's having an affair with her. And second, why didn't I think of the big white chalk horse in Oxfordshire? So we've just had this very messy interview in the living room with a load of posh people. And wow, I really don't know where this is going. I feel like there are so many hints being placed in this chapter and I'm not picking up on any of them. Still going to blame Raphael for now. I think he's guilty. But surely the horse stuff has got something to do with it too. So the cross that Robin found by the little cottage. Clearly something's buried there, and Strike reckons it's a child's handwriting, which makes me think maybe it's an animal that's buried there, a pet. This could just be a red herring. The missing money clip, that's got something to do with it, I'm sure. Maybe that's what caused the mark on Chisel's hand. I do love how many scenes in this book are set in pubs. It's just a nice setting for a scene. So, new clues. There weren't really any new clues in this, just a few theories. And Matthew's definitely cheating on Robin with stupid Sarah. I hope she divorces him by the end of the book. So, Robin's gonna go and work undercover again to spy on Flick. And Cormoran's just being a dick about Lorelai. She deserves better, dude. So, this Malik is an interesting character. Strike's just gone to interview him, ended up with Malik punching him. I'm fairly certain that he's keeping Billy locked up. That's why there was a carving of the horse in the bathroom, and that's why Malik had to run and hide him before Strike could go and use it. So Robin's undercover trying to get something out of Flick, and I'm not sure what to think of her. She's a bit too much of a heavy-handed cliche of a kind of left-wing, hypocritical type activist. I know that's what J.K. Rowling likes to complain about a lot on Twitter, but maybe she could have given Flick a little bit more of a personality. New theory. What if that Indian waiter that Flick had slept with was actually Malik in disguise? Because clearly he's used to doing some undercover work. He was... Oh, actually, no. I was going to say he was at the meeting in the beginning of the book, but surely if he had been having sex with Flick, then Jimmy wouldn't have liked to see him there at his meeting. Okay, never mind. Strike's interviewed the art gallery owner, who also knows more than he's letting on. Why do they keep doing that? Any new theories? No, not really. Just more confusion. Charlotte's a little bit of a psychopath, isn't she? Robin's just infiltrated Flick's party and found a lot more caricatures of young socialist activists written by someone who maybe hasn't spoken to a young person in a while. Other than the kind of slightly annoying conversations about the patriarchy, feminism and socialism, which is a valid conversation to have, but which J.K. Rowling chose to basically just play for laughs. Apart from those bits, which annoyed me a little bit, the party was quite fun and Robin did manage to find that note in the end. Strike's just laid out all of the clues and all of the theories, specifically for the benefit of me, the idiot reader, and I still can't figure it out. Still blaming Raphael. Robin's finally caught up to the fact that Matthew is cheating on her. Divorce him! Strike's just interviewed Della Wynne, and there was lots of interesting stuff in that scene. I guess the thing that struck me the most is that her husband blames Chisel for the death of his daughter. Robin's just left Matthew, and this is genuinely the best scene I have read in this book so far. You can't tell, but I have actually got tears in my eyes. Well done, you. Strike's interview with Billy at the psychiatric clinic is very interesting. Lots more clues. I think one of the men he described must have been Chisel. But this whole thing about them trying to find the eye of the horse, it sounds like some sort of demonic ritual. I really don't know what's going on there. Oh, Vanessa's a sweetheart. Robin's interviewed Raphael, and he sort of confirmed my theory that the Chisels were partly responsible for Rhiannon Wynne's death. I wish I could afford to go to the pub every time I wanted to think. Sweet, sweet Strike thinks Robin's pregnant or getting pregnant, and oh, bless him for being so clueless. The best drama in these books happens on the road trips. I love the road trip scenes so much. I love them. So poor Robin's had a bit of a breakdown in the car after Geraint Wynne called her, and then she was sitting by the side of the road with Strike, and they were having a bit of a heart-to-heart, and it's just all very, very sweet. They're at the races now and continuing their in-depth emotional conversation about their goals and dreams and future hopes. Aren't they cute, though? They've interviewed Tegan, and now we know what Chisel was involved in, and it was the manufacture of gallows. Interesting. I never would have guessed that. So we have got to that point in the narrative where Strike knows exactly what's going on, and me, the stupid reader, is completely clueless. Robin, Strike, and the Scottish guy have just dug up the skull of a horse. So, in a way, I guess maybe I was right when I said that it was an animal that was buried. Go me. New theory then. What if Chisel was trying out the gallows, road testing them on animals before he sold them abroad? So, Robin and Strike have managed to bluff their way into the Chisel house, and Robin's been sneaking around upstairs where she found that painting. I think that the person hiding in the house is Amir Malik. Hang on, what? Strike saying there's another murder? And he got that from the colours of the mare in the painting. Is it Malik? Is Malik dead? What's going on? Strike and Robin have been invited to New Scotland Yard, where they've just been sort of hearing snatches of the investigations. It sounds like Kinvara is part responsible, but there's also someone else involved. In other news, fuck Matthew. Fuck him. I hope he dies. So, that was an ending. First of all, can I just say how pleased I am that I was right about Raphael? I think you'll find that about 30 chapters ago I said, but I think Raphael's got something to do with it. He may or may not be in it with Kinvara, Chisel's wife. I was fucking right, and this never happens. I'm so pleased with myself. So there was this very dramatic scene on the barge just now. Robin doing amazingly as always, and I mean, it was quite predictable that Strike was going to come in at the last minute and save her. But you know what, that's fine. So it all came out in the end. And I was right. I mean, obviously I did not go off any evidence whatsoever. Very much a random guess. But still, I was right. This is really good. All finished. So we did get confirmation about what happened to the girl that Billy saw strangled, and it turned out to be Raphael. The creature that was buried was a horse, a miniature horse that Freddie had shot just for fun. Clearly violence runs in that family. Yes, that was quite a satisfying ending. And a really good book. I'm going to finish the video here because it's getting way too long, but I will be giving my review of that in my end of month wrap up. Once I'm done with that at the end of the month, you will find it linked up here. I hope you enjoyed this reaction video. Thank you for watching. Bye.